Hello and welcome to Marceligo Rentals. We rent shit so you don't got to. Today, what are we drawing? I haven't figured it out yet, but we're gonna figure it out together. While we do that, we're gonna talk. This is the first YouTube video that we've made, so it's gonna be ass. It's gonna be complete shit. The framing on this shit is off. I don't got a video stand. I don't got even a camera, so this is being filmed on my phone. My phone is currently inside of a lampshade. Tape all this thing together so I could rig it up to hold it above my hands. So you know what? We're gonna sit here. We're gonna draw. I got an iPad. I could do one of those Procreate speed draw things, but I don't fuck with that because you know what? We keep things genuine and we keep it classy. So you know what? You can go sit there and you can watch some dude use 500 million paintbrushes. I got a Pilot G2 that I stole from my sister. You know, real bare bones operation over here. But it's the first YouTube video. We're like, well, you know, what do you want? What do you want? You can click off the video right now. I couldn't give a fuck. But here we go. Anyways, today's topic that we've decided on, me and the team consisting of, alright, so anyways, starting off with the basic shape here, nothing crazy. But yeah, if you want, before we get into anything, you can comment something that really pissed you off today. Get it off your chest. You can be mean, nasty. Say some shit that YouTube will get flagged and ban your comment for. You know what I mean? That's what we're all about over here. This thing isn't meant to be in a business. This isn't meant to make me any money. We're going to be saying curse words. We're going to be talking about shit that advertisers don't mess with. And you know what? It's all going to be cool. It's all going to be neat. And we're all going to have a great time here together. Today we're talking about the recent assassination of the healthcare motherfucker whose name I can't really bother to remember off the top of my head right now. Just some white guy, you know what I mean? People don't like him. People like the guy that shot him, pretty cool. But to tell you the truth, me personally, I don't think any of this is really gonna matter. You know why? Because it never does. Look at the Shinzo Abe situation. The guy made a gun, shot somebody, and nothing really changed. Is healthcare really gonna look at the reactions that people are having online and be like, holy moly, you know, we gotta change something. People don't mess with us. They don't care. They already know that people don't appreciate what they do. But you know what? It's money. Money is what's always gonna end up running everything. So why would we even really get hung up on what's going on with other people behind the whole thing? Now, we're not just going to be talking about that. Obviously, we'll be talking a little bit about the illustration that we got going on here. I know it looks like ass right now. It looks like shit. You're probably thinking like, holy shit, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And that's okay. Because you know what? In a lot of ways, I do not. But there's nothing wrong with that because art is all about expressionism. If you can express an emotion, if you have an emotion in mind, that's just going to come out nice. So you don't even really got to worry about the actual technique you're putting in there. As long as you have a general idea of how shit is framed and how shit you want it to kind of look like, it's never going to look exactly like what it is in your head. But that's all right. Because you know what? That's your head. And that's like private information. You feel me? You shouldn't be trying to get everything that's on your mind out there to the public because they don't deserve it. And that's really the fact of the matter. But it's cool. You know what I mean? Most drawings that you do, if you're not any form of illustrator or artist and you feel like you can't get anything done, the problem is you probably haven't actually finished anything that you set out to start. The truth is, nothing artistic is gonna, you know, whether it comes to music, any sort of visual illustration, even food, you know what I mean? That stuff's not gonna look like the final product until the last 2% of it is done. The first, like, 98%, you're gonna be like, oh my god, what is this? I mean, you know, like, I'll be in the kitchen, I'll be making soup, I'll be looking at that shit, I'll be like, bro, what is this? Like, this is gonna be bad. Like, my whole family is gonna be looking at me, like, arms crossed, disapproving as hell. You're gonna be like, dude, what, like, what, you spent 4 hours in the kitchen chopping up chicken bones and celery and shit, and you're gonna serve us some BS, but that's okay. You know what? Because that stuff always turns out good. You throw the paprika at the end, it changes all the color. You throw one of them Cuba Maggies in there, forget about it. So here we go. We got like some form right here shaping up. We got a shape going. You know, you don't need to worry about that right now. We're gonna go back to the healthcare CEO. We're gonna talk conspiracy theories for a second, because they ain't caught this guy yet. And I've seen the updates. Every day they're like, oh, they got the picture of him. They got the picture of him in front of the what is it, the cafe or whatever. He pulls his mask down. He smiles. Everyone's like, oh, he's so pretty. You know what I mean? He's got Caucasian features, so naturally everyone's gonna be like, ooh, it's like that Alex from Target. You remember Alex from Target? Now, what if Alex from Target had a gun, and he killed someone you really didn't like? Now that is what goes on Ellen. You know what I mean? Ellen would be all over that shit. She'd give a Mariah Carey a break and be like, oh, you killed the guy, you killed the healthcare guy. Tell me about that. I'm gonna, talk about how being a lesbian has ruined my career. But I digress. Fuck Ellen. She sucks. She's another, whatever. No one's defending Ellen anyway. She's an easy target. Y'all remember when Eric Andre was supposed to replace her? Yeah, I'm still waiting for that too. You feel me? But it's all good. So, they haven't caught this guy. I've been seeing conspiracy theories going around that somebody actually hired him to get this, on some like Boeing type shit. Remember when people were like, oh, the Boeing company, they got some shady stuff going on. These people were supposed to talk and they ended up, being suicidal or whatever the hell. And, the truth of the matter is, I don't know how important this healthcare guy really is. In the grand scheme of things, if we're gonna be talking like some Illuminati shit, I don't know. No one's really heard of this guy. I guess no one's really heard of the Boeing people either. Do I think that he was hired by another party to pull this off? I really couldn't tell you guys. I don't know. I'm like, who would hire him? You know what I mean? There is always like people always be saying like, oh, it's to cause some sort of civil unrest or anything like that. It's the same people that say stuff about like when George Floyd happened. They're like, oh, this is the CIA wanting to start a race war, because it benefits them somehow for that to happen. But I don't really buy that. If you look at Malcolm X's speeches shortly before he was, silenced, I guess, by Nation of Islam spooks, if that's kind of like the narrative that you typically want to go by. Some people think it's CIA. I don't know. It could really be anything. R.I.P. obviously, Malcolm X. Wonderful individual. His autobiography is a great read if you haven't read it. Even if you're not black, you can see my complexion. I'm not black. I still love that autobiography. I think I got a lot out of it, regardless. But I think, he said it himself. He said that a race war was inevitable in the U.S. Riots were inevitable. I think if the CIA had any sort of involvement when it came to anything race war related, it was probably to end that shit, to be honest. I don't think that they want a conflict between blacks and whites, and especially now with the whole what is it, anti-immigration, that whole, everyone's spooked about, Mexicans and shit like that. I think Mexicans are chill. I think they're cool. But, a lot of people are like, oh, those damn Mexicans. Obviously, they're probably not too happy. And, I, like, white America needs a common enemy. And I think with the race war, shit was kind of getting out of hand. Look at what they're trying to do for Trump. They're trying to lock bro up, saying he did the riot at the Capitol building, yada yada. If they really wanted to have a race war, you would think that they set that shit up. So why are they trying to put bro in jail? I think what people don't understand about America is that it's not nearly as unified as, like, we want to think that, like, oh, the CIA's got they're controlling everything. But everyone always talks about how politicians are fucking stupid. So do you really think that they got all this stuff going on? Yeah, I believe that there are people pulling strings about shit that we don't know about, but I don't know, man. I don't think that they really are that all powerful, all seeing. But let's tie this back to Mr. Healthcare CEO man getting shot and what we have to say about that. Do I think that he was hired, the assassin was hired by some other party? I don't buy it. I don't think so. I think, that's a bit of a cynical, which, is understandable because, people have all the right in the world to have some sort of cynicism about what's been going on in the country. It doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum you're on. I'm a third party supporter. You can tell by the fact that, I kind of sound stupid, but yeah, I don't think there's a huge conspiracy. I just think bro just probably saw an opportunity. He probably was like, you know what, I'm gonna just kill a motherfucker, and you know what, I think shouts out to him for that. Not even because, oh, I got beef with Mr. Healthcare myself or anything like that. But I think change. The reason why we haven't had a Malcolm X, the reason why we haven't had a Martin Luther King, the reason why we haven't had a Che Guevara, I'm in the opinion that the current president of El Salvador is currently one of the closest big, political figures that we got in our world today that's trying to genuinely turn some shit around. I mean, if you see the stuff that he's done in El Salvador, it goes into a philosophy which I have, which is basically, it's a typical, like, you can't make any big changes without breaking a few eggs. And in order to break a few eggs, people kind of downplay what that means. That means you're going to have to get innocent people involved. And in my opinion, what the president of El Salvador is doing, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now because I'm really bad with names. But I believe what he's doing is very much kind of in that vein of even like a Fidel Castro. Man, how you do an ampersand? That look like an ampersand to y'all? Close enough. Not everything here's got to be perfect. This is going to be more of an expressionist piece. Obviously, we're not trying to shoot for realism in this. Not today, at least. Maybe we can do a few. I do want to do a few more realistic portraits in the future. But I digress for the time being. Yeah, I believe that, because he's definitely got a few innocent people locked up in those super mega prisons he's got. Like, these people aren't going to trial. They're just disappearing. And then you're seeing them in a video with their head shaved with like 800 other people that look just like them, all kneeling with their backs all messed up because they're constantly hunched over, having to bow down to this guy. And, but at the same time, how many people are saying, oh, it's safer to be out here? Like, people want to talk about justice, it's an American thing, all right? I'm not 100% American, so I can't really, I was born in America, but my family wasn't. I'm first-gen American. That's what it's called. And, you know what I'm saying? A lot of Americans don't realize that justice is kind of not real. So basically, it's because it's all like in the eye of the beholder. It's like any other aspect of history. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's only justice to whoever says that it is and ends up quote unquote winning. Look at like the Kyle Rittenhouse case. I know we're bouncing around everywhere. How many people would say that's just? Depending on who you ask, a lot of people will say yes, a lot of people will say no. But you know what? It doesn't matter because it's not really real. It's not an objective thing that you could say like, oh, this good, this bad. It comes back to the whole thing where things aren't black and white. It's not like the movies. But even then, you look at movies, depends on how you interpret the movie. Depends on how you see what's going on. Look at a movie like Drive. I used to think Ryan Gosling was a badass. But now I just see him as like a weirdo who probably definitely is going to eventually get addicted to meth. You know what I mean? And he gets no pussy. And even if he did, he probably wouldn't even know what to do with it. Can you see Ryan Gosling in Drive, like, having sex? He probably would, he would get, like, grossed out. Probably. You feel me? He probably just wanted to kiss the girl and, like, cuddle, and he has no idea what comes next. So, I don't want to hear that shit. But basically, we're getting somewhere with this. I'm telling you. But yeah, I think that bro just wanted to do something. The guy who was like, oh, you know what? He probably was just like, whether he had a real motive or not, his motive might have just been fame. To be fair, I mean, you know, look at the lady who killed Andy Warhol. Actually, I don't even want to talk about her because I hate her. But you know, this guy. I mean, you know, everyone's looking at that picture of him. He's smiling. He's showing emotions. You know what I mean? He's not like one of them school shooter types that's always frowning all the time because their dad beats them every day and then gives them a gun and tells them, hey, go, you know. Or, you know, the CIA spook comes out and is like, hey, kid, you know, you don't seem too happy. This guy seemed like he was chilling. You know what I mean? He's probably, that guy probably gets pussy. You know what I mean? He probably does know what to do with it, too. To be completely frank with you, he was probably like, you know, he's probably like somewhat popular, unless he was like total Spurg action. But I don't know. I mean, he took the time to write on the bullets, which I think is, or the bullet casings, my bad, which I think is a very interesting part of the case. You know, that shows an attention to detail, and for that, I can admire that. Regardless of everything else, I can always admire somebody with an attention to detail because you don't know if people are really gonna notice that. I mean, I'm sure you know the investigators. You know, you're gonna assume they're gonna see that, but whether they'll release it to the public or not, you don't know. And you know, or if it'll even catch on. But you just do it for the sake of it. You know, you're doing that shit for the culture. So shouts out to that because I respect that. But you know, I just think he was like a disgruntled guy. I mean, you know, it's not like that. I find like that hard to believe. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that get carried away with conspiracy theories. And they're just like, oh, yeah, like, you know, everything, the government controls it all. And so I don't believe that. I don't think the government gets shut down like all the time. Like, do you really think like, all right, has any of you guys tried to apply for food stamps? Do you realize how fucking difficult it is? Like, you got people telling you on the phone, then you call the phone, people tell you, hey, you know, like, oh, you know, send this in, come in the office in person, do this, do that, and then guess what? You do all that stuff, and it still doesn't work out because these people don't know what they're doing. When you have so many people trying to do the same thing, it never works. So you know what? I don't really think that the government is exactly as all powerful. I think on a bigger scale, on a global scale, we zoom out. You know, we're looking at international politics. I mean, just look at Africa. You know, best example. Africa got fucked over and over. They're still getting fucked. Middle East, fucked. You know what I mean? But, I mean, you look at America. America's still fucked. Like, we can't escape from it. How much of that getting fucked is genuine people trying to, like, oh, you know, screw over Africa, screw over the Middle East? And how much of it is just like, oh, we think we're doing something right, but in reality, we're stupid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, like, there's that whole thing in the Philippines where they were like, oh, we're gonna make a vampire to scare away rebels in this Filipino village that we're controlling. You know, and the Americans, they pierced this guy's neck and they hung him upside down and drained him of his blood and they left his body and stuff like that. It's what kind of shit is that? You know what I mean? Look at the MK Ultra stuff. Like, it's such a convoluted ass thing to do. So they just be doing shit. You know what I mean? Can you really like expect these people to like, oh yeah, like put like a big huge scheme together like that? Nah, man. I don't know. People give the government too much credit, and I feel like that's like their biggest the biggest thing that they've gotten away with. You know, they say the greatest thing the devil ever did was convincing people that he didn't exist. And I think the greatest, the biggest wool that the government pulled over our eyes is convincing us that they're smart and they know what they're doing. Because they don't. I mean, just look at the election, for crying out loud. I mean, just look at our president, our past few presidents. What the fuck do they know? You know? I'm not even gonna really say like, you know, who I don't know. I don't think any of them know what the fuck they're doing. And I just think that this whole CEO thing is gonna blow over in a few days. I mean, there's already people who they're like, oh, what do you like, what? You know, they've already forgotten about it and stuff like that. They're just gonna put some other guy, you know, if I had to guess, my prediction, he's gonna get replaced by a woman or some kind of minority. And I can say this because I'm a minority myself, so I don't want to hear anyone get impressed about this shit in the comments. You know, because I know when I'm being pandered to. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're gonna replace him with some Indian dude. You know, a safe minority, maybe an Asian guy. You know, a black guy that gives off kind of like some Carlton vibes or something like that. You know, that doesn't really feel threatening to the white folks that gotta put up with him. And, you know, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, like, we hear you. You know, if they're smart, that's probably what they'll do. You know, but I don't think they're that smart. So, you know, maybe they'll just put another white guy in charge. And, you know, then we're kind of just like back at square one. You know what I mean? Do I think that it's gonna inspire more people to kill, you know, people of power? I don't know. People are wusses. You know what I mean? Every blue moon we get a guy who's got some resolve. You know, willing to actually make some changes out there in the world. But for the most part, nah, man. I mean, I don't know. People got guns for self-defense and they still be getting shot. You know what I mean? You can't really trust people to do shit nowadays. Especially if they want to make a difference. That's one thing where I feel like the government has kind of fucked people over in a good way. Not in a good way, but in a successful way. Let's say that. Because I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. But, you know, it's kind of like that. I think social media definitely has a lot to do with it. You know, this idea of like, yeah, you know, we get to complain all day about shit and speculate and talk crap and, you know, say like, oh, I hope someone does this, I hope someone does that. But are we motivated to commit any actions ourselves? Not really. Not at all. You know, because people get their catharsis out through tweets and Instagram posts and, you know, things like, oh, if you don't agree with me, unfollow me, da-da-da-da, you know? And that's kind of like the world we live in. And I realize that I've been scooting back and forth as I've been drawing, so my voice is probably, like, just ringing and not consistent at all, which is okay, because you know what, this is all a learning process, and only like 7 people are gonna see this video anyway. So I'm not, are you worried about it? Because I'm not worried at all. But yeah, I don't need a million comments being like, oh, your audio levels are ass, because I know, bro, I know. It's okay, it's gonna get better though. We're gonna figure this shit out. Am I gonna buy an actual stand? Hell no, not for the time being at least. But you know, we got something. We're getting somewhere. Now, back to what we were saying. I think they're gonna replace with some sort of minority, maybe a woman, maybe both. You know what I mean? And they're gonna be like, yeah, this is gonna be our new CEO. You know, don't kill her, please, and don't kill the rest of us. You know, because that's how they be. That's how those people be. They be fronting like they scared. But, you know, all these people are going to be running around with hella security now. So, I don't think this sort of thing is going to... Man, I can never draw a star. That's okay. I don't think that these people are necessarily going to be rolling as light as they used to. I mean, I don't know. You can never really underestimate how cocky white people can be at times. So, sometimes you do. That's just how that should be. But you know what? It is what it is. You know, we got some... You know, these clouds aren't perfect. They don't gotta be. You know, we're just kind of... Like we're saying, we're keeping shit kind of expressionistic today. I ain't trying to go into too many, like, little, you know, details and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, I got other shit to do. I gotta edit this shit, too. Figure out how to upload it. Figure out how long it's gonna take to upload it. You know what I mean? YouTube ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? I'll be watching YouTube videos all day, and I'll be like, man, sometimes I'm like, how do they get this shit done? Especially if you do that shit as like a full-time job. Why would you do that? Honestly. Like, that's, I couldn't. Me personally, I couldn't do this full time. Would it be nice to make some money from it eventually? Sure, sure. Why not? You know, people might be wondering, oh, what's with the, what's with the symbolism for the moon? I couldn't care. Yeah, it's just something to get the people thinking. Sometimes you need to put something like somewhat provocative in your work. Not even just like, just because you can, bro. Because, like, I don't know. When you create stuff, you don't want to create shit that, like, anyone can make. Sometimes you gotta put some, you gotta, a little bit of cynicism, a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of sense of humor, a little bit of just, like, I don't know. One of the nice things about making art, making people question. You feel me? And that's just, I don't know. For me, at least, I like it when people see it, what I'm drawing, and they're just like, oh, like I like telling people, like, yeah, I'm an artist. You're like, oh yeah, let me see some of your work, and I show it to them, and they're just like, oh, and they never bring it up again. I love that shit. I live for that shit, personally. That's the shit that makes me happy. But I don't know. Other people be boring, like pushing boundaries and shit. That's cool. Now, if you're wondering where this picture is, the setting, I'm gonna say Atlanta, Georgia. I don't live there, but I used to. If you ever lived in Atlanta, Georgia, you've probably seen dead people before, to be completely honest with you. I saw dead people before I moved to Georgia, though, because I'm special like that. That was stupid. Why'd I do that? Kind of throws away a little bit from the picture, this little pole right here. But it's alright, you know what I mean? You make mistakes. You can always rip the paper here. No one will ever be the wiser. But you know what? We're gonna try to salvage this. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. I really like, what the fuck is this? Pilot G2? I fuck with it. It's cool. It's definitely one of the more affordable things you could get. That's like kind of professional quality. I never really believed in, things gotta be, having the best colored pencils, the best pencils. I mean, man, I use pencils that I picked up off the floor that have been run over by a car and is like literally falling apart in my hand. And, I feel like I've made some cool stuff with it. So, materials when it comes to art never really makes the artist. But, we got a little bird nest over here. Some wildlife and shit. Like I said, we're not doing nothing super detailed. There's no need to right now. I ain't trying to flex or nothing either. I had to, you could tell I had to really focus on that, drawing that head. We'll get some details in there. A little bit of shading in there so you can kind of like identify kind of like what's going on or nothing like that. What we thinking? Hell yeah. And then I'm gonna finish this off with, I'm thinking, I don't know, what y'all think? Some shrubs or something? I feel like that could be kind of cool. Just to kind of fill out, we got a lot of empty space right here. I'm just kind of focused on filling in this little quadrant. I can just tear the paper off on the edges, and we'll be getting somewhere from there. Yeah. Final thoughts on what is it, Mr. Healthcare Guy? What do we got any final things to say? I don't know. I think we've kind of said it all at this point. I'm not gonna. I wasn't really expecting to make no like big like, oh guys, guess what I know that nobody else knows. The shooter jerked off 4 minutes before he did the shooting. Would you guys jerk off after you kill somebody? Or would you feel weird? Would you be like, my hands are capable of murder? And, you know? I don't know. I don't think that would really be on my priority list at all. But sometimes you gotta calm down or some shit. I don't know. To each their own, I guess. Would y'all do any drugs after you kill somebody? I feel like if I smoked weed after I killed a person, I would be extremely paranoid and I would hate it and I would regret it immediately. But I feel like drinking would be kind of cool. You know, kind of. I feel like being sober after a situation like that would probably also be hell. So it's like, what do you even do? You know? Don't do no amphetamines, though. Don't be doing no... Man, don't be doing no shrooms or acid or... No, I don't know. Doing acid after you kill somebody? That sounds terrifying. Somebody might be like, oh, do a Xanax, bro. It's like, I don't know. I never done Xanax. I don't really... I stay away from opiates. I've seen it turn people into monsters. You think that the guy who shot the healthcare person, he did it because he couldn't get his fucking opiate prescription? You think he couldn't get his lean prescription? That's why he was so mad? Let's talk theories. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, a lot of people like to think like, oh, you know, I mean, I guess the bullet casings also, like, they kind of make it seem like bro had like a righteous reason. But what if it was just that? What if bro was just mad that he couldn't get his Tris prescription or his Adderall? You know what I mean? He failed the exam because he couldn't get his Adderall prescription because the doctor was like, bro, you've been tweaking on this shit for days. You haven't fallen asleep. And so then he had to go and he had to get a third party, some shady dude at his college dorm, to sell him a few fucking pills. And he ended up accidentally taking methamphetamine, where he almost died of a fucking fentanyl overdose. And his roommate had to Narcan the fuck out of him. And he just decided that he wasn't going to put up with this anymore. He was going to actually go out there and do something. And through a crazy Narcan, fentanyl, just recovery period, he just decided to go out and make a difference. I don't know. You know, human nature is fickle and funny. And I love it. I don't really know how far I should really bridge the gap with these little kind of like just shadows of shrubs. Oh, I hope I'm not pulling this out of the camera. I know y'all want to see this shit. Now, am I going to be talking about current events in all of these videos? Because I'm planning to make a few. This is kind of fun. Even if I feel like nobody's going to end up watching this, it's still pretty entertaining to do. But, I don't know. Do I think? I do not. But do I think that anything's going to come out of this? No. I think if he kind of, you know, I mean, I know he had a message, but like, imagine if like the bullet casings said like, you know, make estrogen cheaper or something like that. Then, you know, then we'd be getting somewhere. Then you know, when you get the gay people on your side, you know, they don't shut up. That's for sure. You know, you want to be an icon? That's how you be an icon. You gotta appeal to the queer community. Like, I'm telling y'all, if Trump came out and he kissed another man, oh my God. You know, you'd be having drag queens wearing MAGA hats all over the place. They wouldn't let that shit go. You know, that's what Kamala should have done. Kamala should have had like a 12-minute makeout session with Megan Thee Stallion. And, you know, she would have won. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I'm telling you. I don't even gotta hold that debate with people. I already know. I already know what would have happened. It's like I was there. In another world. Alright. I had an art teacher in high school who would always complain about, you know, the fact that I never filled up my page. She would be like, your composition sucks. Yeah, well, you know what? Who's saying that now? Look at that. All filled up. There we go. The complete piece. Thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope you learned something. Actually, I hope you don't take anything that I said seriously. I'm going to extend these clouds real quick before I go. Just to kind of complete everything. Make it look kind of how it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? There we go. There we go. There we go. You know what? We'll put like the little Instagram, you know what I'm talking about? If I can remember what it fucking looks like. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. Ties it all together. Alright, thank y'all. Good night.